thing.
Sell you A, I think.
Yeah, and I was like, this is like wicked expensive, and I'm like, why? I don't need it, So that never got aired, I don't think, but that's okay.
So they were from BC, you said, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Thank you for coming, Manuel, first of all.
My pleasure. Yeah,
I'm happy to have you here today.
pumped to be here.
For those people, Manuel, who doesn't know you and what do you do, what's your profession or expertise, what would you like to explain about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm an athletic therapist and personal trainer. I also coach Muay Thai and run some group classes. I own Drive Wellness Center. We opened up about a year and a half ago. So the bulk of what we do is personal training and athletic therapy. So we're helping with pain management. So if you just injured yourself, we'll help you rehab through that. If you have chronic pain, we'll help you out with that. Then we go into other parts of the scope of practice would be like preventative, and then a little bit of performance enhancement. And then personal training end is anywhere from wanting to get in shape to wanting to do your sport better, or just being general health, right?
Makes sense.
Would be the other one, yeah.
And you said something about Muay Thai, right?
Yes.
What is that? Please explain.
Muay Thai, so it's kind of like kickboxing. I usually say, like, if you ever watch UFC, it's a lot of what they're doing when they're standing up in a mixed martial arts setting. So it's kickboxing, but then there's knees, elbows, there's clinching, which is kind of like standing grappling. Yeah, it's fun. It's a combat sport. I've been doing it more than half my life now, and I used to compete, not so much now. I'm more into coaching it than just training for the fun of it. Yeah.
Nice. And then that's where I guess you got into the wellness center, right? Starting from Muay Thai, maybe, and then wellness center. That's how it goes. When?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I've been working there since I was 17, or 16. 17? I think 17, and I'm 30 now. So I mean, I guess like that would be kind of the start of the journey, if you want to think of it that way, right? Like when I was a kid, I got bullied pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So then that fed into wanting to get, like look big and strong and learn how to fight so it wouldn't happen. So I took up Muay Thai because my mom was going there. And she got me set up at Quest, Kickboxing and Muay Thai, just on Confusion Corner there. And through that, I was kind of doing it casually until I started taking it a little bit more seriously to get into competing. Which is where I kind of like learned. It was the first time I'd like done something for a long period of time to accomplish a major goal, I guess, right? And gotten into that level of conditioning. And then from there, that kind of built into, I started working at the gym. I started coaching at the gym. Started doing group classes in other spots too. Went to school for athletic therapy, and then I guess the rest is kind of history now. Yeah.
What was the bully about? I mean, I want to know. Oh, you said most of your classmates used to bully you, right?
Well, not most of them. There's only a few. I mean, we moved around a lot when I was a kid. So we were never in a spot for more than like 3 years till I hit grade 6. And I was kind of like a small, shy, heavier set kid for a pretty long time. And then went from like super, like a bit thicker to really thin. So it's kind of like, I guess, an easy target.
Makes sense.
Without confidence.
It's a lot easier to target that kind of guy in the classroom.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And there was, the one moment just getting choked out outside of a class and like blacking out for a second that kind of led me down to that I should probably figure out how to manage myself in that kind of situation, right? So then learning how to fight a little bit was where where all this kind of might have started to a degree.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, at some point I used to get bullied a lot in my school. It was at such a point when I had to change the school because I've never felt that kind of emotion before. I mean, somebody's bullying me so much and they're doing it every day. I was so new to that school, right? I don't know who to go and talk with. Who should I talk about this? This is what's happening with me in school. But then after 2 years, I changed my school. I went to my old school I used to be in, so I can feel that. But that's where it kind of pushed you, right, to I mean bring change and learn how to fight weather, right,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
you.
It's, I don't know, nothing makes you feel so small, right? And then, I don't know, it was really, I mean, now I can look back at it and be like, that was more of a positive thing in the long run, right? Because it kind of led me down the path to where I'm at now. At the time, though, man, like it's so hard, and I'm sorry you went through that too. That's brutal.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
I can feel that, yeah. But let's talk about the wellness center, please. Do you also coach or train athletes? I mean,
Yeah.
the athletes who are, let's say, runners or any sports they're major into.
Yeah, we work with anyone from like your grandma that just got a knee replacement up to, like, I work with one of the top guys in powerlifting in the province. I work with a few ultra marathon runners. And I mean, a lot of combat sport athletes as well. And yeah, so anywhere from like I said, like your grandma that just got her knee replaced, we can help manage the recovery from that, up to like a disc injury from a deadlift on the platform in a powerlifting meet. Yeah.
And how does that process starts when they are hurt or they got injured while doing a deadlift, right, or any exercise, right? How does that process starts when they come to you and they want to now get better? And
Yeah. So, well, part of what we do as athletic therapists is we can work with sports teams, right? So we're trained as first responders. So if we're working with your team, right? Let's say you're in a soccer team and we're working on your team, we'll be doing like the tape jobs and everything beforehand. But if you get hurt on the field, that's kind of where it would start, right? We'd manage the situation, see if you need the hospital, blah, blah, blah. And then from there, we'll probably get you into more of a clinical setting, right? Now, with me, I don't work with a lot of teams personally. I prefer more the clinical aspect, right? So when someone comes into me, we'll do an assessment. We'll spend an hour to an hour and a half or so just drilling down to the root cause, right? So if it's chronic pain, then we're trying to find, is it something mechanical causing that pain? Was there an injury? Like what's the root cause here? What are we looking for? What's driving the pain overall? Is it the fact that that area is not moving properly? Is it something else down the chain that's not moving properly? Right? And that kind of guides the rest of it, right? So in your assessment, we're going to get a history done. So we're going to ask you a ton of questions about previous injury, about what happened specifically with this, when it started, worse in the morning, worse at night, like things that kind of help paint this picture. So when we get into the observation piece, we'll have a look at you posturally, usually a few functional movements just to kind of see how things move systemically, right? And then a joint by joint assessment. So having a look at the joints that we think are involved based on the assessment, or based on the assessment thus far, right? So that's looking at like range of motion, strength, that kind of thing. Then we have a few special tests that are more geared towards testing specific structures, specific movements. And then some palpations. That's where we use touch to kind of find the painful areas, right? And from there, we take in all that information, and we will explain to the person. Like for me, I want to make sure that the person, when they come to see me in the clinic, they understand what's going on with their body, right? They understand what's happening with their pain. The reason for that is because that gives them ownership over their pain and what's happening in their body right now. But it also makes it a hell of a lot easier to sell the exercises to them, right? So like part of what we're doing, adherence is the number one thing that's going to get them better overall, right, to the exercise program, because that's what's going to correct the mechanics. And if you understand what's happening, right, you come in to see me, you understand what's going on with your body, I can relate the exercises back to different things that are happening to correct, right? Yeah, so it's kind of like a sales job to make sure you actually do the stuff at home between sessions, right? So we don't have to get you in like 4 or 5 days a week, because that'd be expensive.
And do you think those pains can be eliminated fully, or do they still, I mean, deal with that pain, but not at major level, but very, very minor levels in their life, but they still have to keep doing the exercise to, feel the same way, so it doesn't bother them too much?
That's super individual, right? It depends on the case. Some cases we might just be able to minimize the pain and get you moving a lot better. Most cases, though, we can pretty much alleviate the pain. And that's not to say there's not going to be like a flare up down the line, right? Like if you hurt your knee, we get it 100% better. In the research, it'll tell you the best predictor of future injury is previous injury, right?
Makes sense.
So it's not to say like you hurt your knee, you're not going to hurt it ever again because you went through this. But we want to reduce those odds as much as we can, right?
And once the muscle or any of the joints are injured, I believe for the next time it's much easier for the same muscles to get injured again, right? Because they got injured first beforehand, I believe. That's how I look at it. Maybe it's...
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Again, we're working to reduce those odds as much as possible by getting you strength, mobility, stability in the right areas to prevent future occurrences, right? So far, we've had a pretty good success rate with that because we're really working to correct the movement deficits, right? When we're working with athletes, it's a lot easier to keep them on a program long term or give them like general recommendations, like this is how you should warm up to prevent this in the future. These are some exercises you should incorporate to your general strength and conditioning program to prevent occurrences in the future, right? We work, to ensure that they don't hurt themselves again. Now they can, but then also, at least now, if you have that same injury, you have the tools to at least try before you come back into the clinic and see us, right? Like, because you'll have the previous exercises, how we progress through them. So you'll have like the general program, so you can try going back to those, and then if that's not working, then it might be time to come back in, right?
Well, I think I should come visit you guys because I have my knee pain bothering me for a while now.
Yeah.
No injuries though, but maybe just cause one of the reason is because my weight is over the limit it should be according to my height and age, right? So maybe you guys can help me with that, I believe.
Yeah. And that could be a factor. I mean, likely there's something driving it outside of that too, right? Especially if it's just one knee. Like we'd want to look again, like, did you hurt yourself before? Because if you hurt the other side ankle, you might just be putting too much load onto that knee that's now in pain, right? So it can be more of a compensation mechanism around that. A lot of these things are rooted in something that happened a while ago, right? And then eventually something's going to give, right? It's kind of like if you leave a bolt loose on your tire, it might not be that tire that comes off, right? But there's going to be an issue with the structural integrity.
Makes sense.
It's going to lead down to...
Makes sense. There could be so many factors that can bring that pain or that discomfort in your life. Makes sense.
1,000%. And it's not even just movement, right? Like we're movement specialists, right? We look at like how things are moving, how we can like improve the movement. But there's so many things that go into that pain bucket, right? Like there's a whole biopsychosocial model that we got to look at, right? Like previous trauma, like emotional trauma can feed into that, right? How you sit socially, like are you around people a lot? Are you not? Are you pretty isolated, right? Like there's all these different things that can feed into pain, and then how we breathe, how we move. So it's not just specifically like I walk a certain way, right? We got to look at kind of the bigger picture of this is a human being. It's not just like a robot, I guess, right?
Makes sense. I totally get it. Mobility is very important, I believe, even in your day-to-day life, just to keep you moving, I believe. And what is the worst way to, manage your pain? I mean, if you are feeling some sort of pain in your joints or muscles, what's the worst thing you can do when you think it maybe help you, but it will not?
Nothing. Just waiting for it.
Maybe waiting for it to get better.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to dunk on like drugs, right? But we got to understand what they're doing. If you're taking like a painkiller, that can be a really useful tool, right? It could be great to help kind of mitigate some of the pain so you can go through the correctives and get things rehabbed properly, right? But that shouldn't necessarily be a long-term strategy, right? Even things like Tylenol, Advil can have some gnarly effects on your gut, right? We want to, like, again, they're a tool in the tool belt, but as a long-term strategy, I don't think those are optimal. And that's not, I mean, you go to the heavier painkillers too, the same kind of thing. So, I mean, aside from doing nothing, that would likely be another not so great way to manage it long term.
Yeah, I believe it. And painkillers are only going to help you while you are taking the painkillers. I mean, for a couple hours, right? But they're not solving the root cause of the problem.
No, it's like putting a Band-Aid on, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to, find a solution you can work with and get yourself better.
100%.
Usually, what age of people you guys are dealing with mostly? Is it all age or?
All over, man. Yeah. I think the youngest patient I had was 5 years old.
Okay.
Which is certain challenges, and the oldest I've had was 90 so far. Which, again, other challenges, right? I can't necessarily get the 90-year-old doing all kinds of crazy plyometrics right away.
Got it.
Right? And the 5-year-old, I got to battle through, like, they don't have a concept of pain. Like, this feels devastating to them, right? And it can to anybody of any age, right? But especially, like, getting a 5-year-old brain to wrap around that. This doesn't have to be, like, this crazy, right? Is a whole other ball game, too. Right? And then everything in between there, like we've got teenagers, we've got young adults, we've got people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all at varying levels of activity, right? Again, from recreational athletes to high-level athletes to just, couch potatoes. it's all over the map that we want to help and work with.
100%. And what kind of pains are people usually dealing? Is it more because they have sitting jobs, or what kind of pains are they dealing with? Most of them, most of the clients.
That's a tough question.
I mean, is it joints pain, maybe knees or back pain?
That would depend on the population. I'd say, back pain is definitely a common one.
Right.
Then when we look into the research for that, the top 2 correlations with it are smoking and job satisfaction. Right?
Job satisfaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because low back pain is a pretty convenient way to get out of it, right? Now, there's a lot of things going into that too, right? Like if you have a desk job, one of your hip flexor muscles attaches directly onto your spine, right? So if we're sitting for a long period of time like this, that muscle is sitting shortened, right? And what that can do over time is your nervous system's going to go, okay, well, we don't really have to grant you that much length because you're sitting this period of time in a day, right? So that muscle's going to tighten up a little bit. Now, I guess it'd be problematic when you go to stand up, right? Because it's attaching onto your lumbar spine, your low back. It'll pull it into more extension, right? It's going to put a lot more pressure on what's called your facet joints. The facet joints restrict motion in the spine, like all through the spine. They're lined up a little bit differently to prevent different motions, right? But especially extension, so we can't just bend back crazy far, right? So when then you stand up, you start moving, that muscle's tighter. It's gonna make it harder for your glutes to be able to extend through your hip. So then you're gonna likely get a compensation strategy around arching your back to extend, as opposed to doing it through the hip and using your glutes, right? And then over time, that's that overuse of the muscles through the low back and that pressure on those facet joints would be likely to cause some pain. Now, it's just like a really accessible sort of example, right? There's a million different things that could be leading to. And again, low back pain isn't just exclusive to office workers or people that sit a lot. But then a good example of when we're talking about the muscles just kind of tightening up is if you ever go to, you know what? Did you see Project Hail Mary?
No, I haven't.
Okay. It's a good movie. Okay. It's really long though, right? It's like almost 3 hours long. So right after that movie, almost everyone in the theater stood up and they started just like arching their back, right?
Can you pull up the movie? What was the name again?
Project Hail Mary. I don't know if it's still in theaters. It was for a while. It's really good.
Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, it's Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
It's more the length. Like after the movie, everyone stood up and tried to like. Basically, you're trying to open up your hip flexors, right? Yeah.
There you go. I was looking up some flights the other day. You can open the new tab and search Project Hail Mary.
Highly recommended.
There you go. The second one. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this the one?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was just thinking more about the length of the movie because it's long, right? So everyone's when they're sitting down, 2 hours 36 minutes, right?
Okay.
So everyone gets up, they start like here, right?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to stretch out that hip flexor muscle before they start moving a whole bunch, right? So it's just like no one really thinks like, oh, I'm going to stretch out my psoas major, but they're thinking I'm just going to loosen up because I'm feeling kind of tight after sitting, right? So that chronically over time can lead into those kind of low back mechanisms that we were just talking about, right?
Well, now I wonder about those people who do the driving jobs. I mean, let's say commercial class 1 drivers or people who are helping us commute here and there, the taxi drivers, right? Their job is to sit for 12 hours a day and drive for those 12 hours, and then for the rest of the time they sleep and take care of themselves. But what are some of the tricks they can do to keep themselves as much away from back pain or any sort of muscle pains?
Yeah, I mean, just so I don't get sued or anything, it's not a catch-all, right? These are going to be general recommendations, but I think movement breaks through the day is really important, right? One thing I talk to, because another thing with office work is a lot of neck pain from like here, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a band, just like tubing or a TheraBand in the office, you can just kind of pull that apart every once in a while, give yourself some different inputs, kind of get yourself reset. But then also just getting up every hour or two, getting a little walk in, right? Really exaggerating the hip motion if you can. Your coworkers might look at you kind of silly, but I mean, if you want, you can tell them, hey, listen to a podcast. This guy said to do it. So, and then get them to listen to the podcast. But it really just focusing on extending your hip, getting your leg behind you properly, right? Stretching out a little bit just throughout the day. Just kind of give yourself that little, is it Kelly Starrett? It calls it like a movement snack, right? Like spend 2 to 5 minutes just opening things up a little bit, moving around a little bit, then get back to it, right? You'll probably find that you'll get less tight. You might get a little bit more energy just from getting up and moving a little bit to tackle the next couple hours, right? So just every hour or two, try to spend 2 to 5 minutes moving around a little bit more.
Yeah, it's better to spend 2 to 5 minutes every day or after an hour instead of, spending, I would say 6 months getting better after you really are into an injury or something like that.
Oh, totally, yeah. Like, why wait for things to break down? You can just prevent it, right? It's
Yeah,
kind of getting a tune-up on your car, which I should do a better job of, but yeah.
Makes sense, yeah. Because they are the one, or the desk job people who sits for too long, right? They're the one, I guess. They feel back pain. I mean, they deal with the back pain so much. Because of the job and long sitting hours. Because I used to drive for this company, class 1 commercial driver truck, right? So we used to go to America, but I quit after a month because of the back pain. It was so severe, I can't even stand. I couldn't even stand on my own weight. I mean, I had to take help of the other objects around me because I just cannot at the point when I was driving about 2 or 3 years back now.
Yeah, it's rough. Like I've seen a couple.
Do you have? Sorry to interrupt you, but do you get people from driving professions? Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I've seen I think 3 truckers off the top of my head, and well, one was a shoulder because he was also big on like hitting the gym, and his was more from, he played a lot of rugby growing up, had some previous injuries, and then overdid it on like the pressing. So like a lot more bench press, overhead pressing, and not enough like rowing and pulling. So he's had to kind of manage load on the pressing, get him hitting the pulls a little bit heavier, correct a couple of the movement dysfunctions, and then he was off to the races. And then, the other two were hips and low backs, which, you know, as you said, right, it can be really tough when you're doing those long treks. Like some of these guys are driving across Canada and then coming back, or they're going, like you said, down to the States and then coming, right? So they're long drives, and it's not always like logistically feasible, I guess, to get up every couple hours. But as much as you can, like especially if before you go to bed or sleep, just try to get like a little bit of stretching in, right? And there's plenty of things you can look into, right? Like a lot of stuff, mainly for like hip flexors and hip movement, would be absolute game changers. Just working towards moving a little bit more would be good. Yeah, it might not be every couple hours, but if you can make a stop, or when you got to get gas or stop for a snack or anything like that, right? That's a great time to just spend a little bit of extra time moving. Because I know usually like they get paid on, it's per trip, right? It's like the faster you
Most
get back.
of them are paid. Well, when I used to drive, I got paid per mile. So the miles we drove the truck for the entire trip, that's what gets me paid. Depends on the miles we drove.
Yeah. So then I would,
They pay us bi-weekly, I believe. They used to pay us bi-weekly.
So it'd be, you'd be spending a few, maybe like an extra hour in the overall drive, but I think for your body it would be worth it. Like, I mean, depending on the trip, obviously, right? But yeah.
Makes sense, yeah. Now with the E-logbooks, you know about that, right? These drivers, they use E-logbooks, electronic logbooks, where your driving times get calculated, so you don't put so much stress on your body by driving 15 hours and not getting enough sleep. That's a whole different thing. We can talk about in other podcasts and discuss, but
That's really cool. They're doing that though.
yeah. They have these electronic e-books, which cops have full access, so they can actually look into it. How long you were driving? Are you following the rules and getting enough sleep and driving safely, or you're just putting pressure on your body and trying to drive for at least 15 hours, get less sleep, not taking care of you and the safety for other people on road, just thinking about your miles and getting a bigger fact check. So that's a whole new thing.
Yeah, because it can be devastating on your body, right? Just from even like the lack of sleep, which would also make it a little more dangerous on the road. And then just your general body pain and breakdown, right? Because, I mean, we know movement, it's crazy important just in extending lifespan and health span, right? And making sure you have a functional body going into later years of life, right? And offsetting things like osteoporosis and whatnot. So I think ensuring that people driving trucks and doing that kind of work, right, which is important, are still taking care of themselves for a longevity of career perspective, but then also from just a longevity of life kind of perspective is massively important.
Makes sense. I had a question that just got slipped from my mind. I'll ask you later. Is there anything else you want to add up to the training you guys provide for people?
Yeah. Again, we work with anything from just general health to performance enhancement, and then the bulk of our business being based around injury and pain and helping people get out of that. And we're also trying to push hard for more of like a social initiative. Like I've been working on trying to get a nonprofit kicked off over the last little bit. My brother, he does a lot of work with the unhoused population and getting them into transitional housing and that kind of stuff. And he was working with Nadine Waymak at 190 Disraeli. And he's still with the organization. So I try to get down there and volunteer with him where I can. Like the last couple of months has been tough because we've been a lot busier in the clinic. But those are some of the crazier cases you'll see. Like, you know, because they're not necessarily just spraining their ankles. There's one guy, he had a portion of his forearm blown off by like a shotgun. And there was one guy that was, he was tortured overseas, and the kind of operations they had to do on him, like he barely had function of his hands. So like those are some really cool and exciting. Well, not cool. Cool is a crude word to use. Some really impactful, I would say, sort of cases to have the opportunity to work with and help, right? Because I mean, when you don't have function of your arm due to huge trauma like that, being able to restore that to any kind of degree is a lot different than someone that sprained their ankle walking down the street, right?
Makes sense.
That person can probably walk again within 2 weeks, and then, you know, and their body's going to heal. Is it going to be optimal? Probably not. Like we should still rehab that, get that taken care of. But there's a massive difference between that and getting your thumb cut into with a lock cutter until, you know, then left on the side of the road once they have or don't have the information from you, right? So there's like these, it's intense, but it's super rewarding to work with them. And then they also, like, you know, they're unhoused. They moved here from another country, or they haven't been able to get a job due to life circumstances, and they can't like afford to come down to the clinic, right? So then being able to like provide that to people who need it, but don't have, I guess, the sort of privilege that a lot of us do to actually get that taken care of, is also really rewarding.
I see it. Yeah. So in that case, when you literally, I mean, some bad incidents, right? As you mentioned, some of them. I'm wondering about now those people who are in military or who was, helping us keep us safe, our families. Who, how do they manage with such things? Um, like people in military, because they have to deal more of it with these kind of things, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're getting shot at and everything, right? Or a lot of these guys lose limbs and everything. Like that would be a little bit outside of our scope. Like, I mean, as far as like getting a prosthetic on them and running them through that. But restoring movement after, I mean, we can see some pretty severe injuries, right? Anything from concussion, maybe they blew their ACL or had a severe fracture, chronic pain due to a bullet wound from overseas. We like to be able to help them manage that from the movement perspective. Yeah, like those would be some pretty intense cases as well, and definitely wanting to work with more of them. Now, when we're looking at things like the trauma aspect and the like more on the mental and emotional side, like that's going to be a different profession, right? We're going to get you hopefully talking to somebody that can give you strategies to help manage things like PTSD and everything. But from the physical end and correcting movement and getting out of the physical pain, that's definitely something that we'd be able to rehab in conjunction with like a mental health professional to get that person back to 100% so they can still function the rest of their life, and be able to do the things they love, right?
Makes sense. And what kind of pains are the worst, or I'll put it this way. What are some of the worst case scenarios you worked with, or people with worst pains they have in their body, or due to some injury or traumas, as you mentioned?
Okay. One. Yeah, he gave me permission to talk about it. So there's a fella, he moved here from Uganda. So my brother got in touch with me and he was like, look, I want to get you to see this guy, right? I don't know if there's anything you can do for him, but he's a really like good person. He just moved here from Uganda. He's been through a lot, and I just want to see if there's anything you can do, right? He's got an issue with his hand. All the information I got.
Okay.
Okay. I was like, yeah, man, let's just bring him down. He's like, I don't know if you do any pro bono work. I was like, yeah, I'll do it for you, right? So all the information I got is that this guy's hand had an issue, right? So he brings him in for the first session, and his shoulder range of motion was this, right? He had no movement at his elbow, no movement at his hand. He was stuck in like this position, basically, right? This was the fellow I was just kind of like alluding to. So he was working, I guess, with a guy who's running against the current president in Uganda, and the government took him in and tortured him, right? So they used a lock cutter, cut into his hand. And then left him on the side of the road. Now he's got, and they like, yeah, they were cutting him up. They cut all the extensor tendons in the back of his hand, right? So the things that let our fingers go like that, right? Then left him on the side of the road, and he's diabetic. So it took him, I can't remember if it's 2 days or 2 weeks to get to a hospital, and the skin on his arm was rotting. When he got to the hospital, to the doctors, they said, okay, if that hit the muscle tissue, we'll have to amputate. It didn't, so they were able to take off the skin, right? And they took skin grafting from his back, from his hip, from his leg. I don't know if you've ever seen skin grafting, but when you feel it, it's hard. It's almost like a plastic, right?
Okay.
But it's your skin, they just stretch it out, right? And eventually over time, it should heal and be a little bit more like skin, but it's
Still
never quite, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Now, obviously the dude had been through a lot, and I had to get him to kind of relive some of that to get a proper assessment in. They also had to have his thumb shoved in his stomach for, I think 3 weeks to get it to heal properly. And then they wrapped him up like this for 6 months and then sent him out. And then that's when he left the country and came here.
Okay.
Right now, like I said about the hip flexor issue, right? Your nervous system just lets things tighten up if you're not using the range of motion, right? So with him being wrapped up like this, that was the range of motion he had. You know, it was like
just a little bit, yeah.
Very tiny amount, right? We were able to get him to move these fingers. We got him full extension at his wrist, the flexion. I mean, he's still got to work against the grafting, which isn't, like, if you think about like how we can move our skin around, right? Like that's the biggest limiter there.
In that case, in his case, it wasn't the same, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's a harder tissue here, right? So we need that to heal a little bit more, do a little more work there. The thumb we'd have to break, so we've been trying to get him in with a surgeon to get that taken care of. The elbow, we were able to get him about this much range of motion. We got him free motion on his shoulder, and he came in crying because he could wash his head with his dominant hand, right? And this was a dude, he was a high-level boxer in Uganda, right? Like, used to that level of output, right? And we got the skin grafting down about 50% using things like laser. He was just super disciplined on his exercise program on top of all of that. And we treated him and did a lot of like tissue work with him. So kind of like I guess massage work and joint mobilizations, that kind of thing. And that is essentially, like, I mean, that's when I was working at the clinic I used to work at Advantage Conditioning, which is also a great spot just down in St. James. And my brother called me a couple weeks later. He's like, you know, you've done all that work with so-and-so? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I think we could get you a grant to work with more people, like unhoused people from the shelter and everything. And then he said, you could split it with the clinic, however. And then I said, okay, can we wait till fall? And then he said, yeah, why? And I said, well, this opportunity came up because earlier that day, the Fit Body that I was working at, she had talked to me about how we're moving locations. There's some clinic space in there, and if I wanted to rent like a spot for a table. And I kind of made a joke about like, oh, what if I just rented all the clinic space and then open like a little business to sublease through your business? And then she got excited about that, and I was like, oh God, you know, what did I just kind of sign up for here?
Yeah.
But then he said that kind of gave me the confidence to, okay, maybe I can actually do this. Now, all the meetings we've set up to try to get this thing funded kind of fell through. So we haven't had the opportunity to do that, aside from just me going down and volunteering and just texting him ahead of time being like, hey, I'm going to be down there for a couple hours. If you're cool with it, who do you have for me kind of thing. He'll send a few people so then I can have a look and see what we can do to help manage. But yeah, and that's essentially what Drive Wellness Center was founded on, was just that idea of being able to help people that need it. Now it's transitioning from like trying to get like outside funding, which hopefully we can still get, to how do I make it work? How do I get the revenue up enough in the corporation so we can leverage that kind of money to fund getting athletic therapists helping with people that need it and can't afford it, right? And then hopefully scale that to where we can go on to like Indigenous reservations and be able to help out there with people that can't make it to the city to get rehab for their pain and injuries, and provide some services over there. And not do it like a government program where they cut some ribbons and like, oh, see you never, you know, it's be able to kind of keep up a consistent, like every couple months, get back down there and help out. Right. I mean, obviously the problem with all that is that takes money. So we got to fund it from somewhere. Right. So we gotta, I'm working on getting the corporation up enough to do that. Then hopefully get the nonprofit kicked off, get a charitable status, and then be able to incentivize other entrepreneurs to help us out on that mission too.
So as of now, are you not, you're charging your customers, right?
Yes.
Because that thing is still in process.
Yeah.
Makes sense. No, it's very good to hear. The story is really fascinating. How long it took him to fully, function with his shoulder?
The shoulder function, that was pretty quick. That was a few weeks, like 3 weeks maybe. The elbow we got up. I mean, again, there's going to be limitations just structurally right now, right? Like the thumb we'd have to break. I'm not going to break his thumb. That's not in my scope of practice. And it'd be really risky, you know? And then some limitations with just the healing with his arm, right? But the shoulder came back pretty quick. The elbow came back a little bit slower, but once the shoulder got in the groove, it was maybe a couple weeks for the elbow to get a lot closer to full range. And then, like overall, he's doing a lot. He's able to have a job at least now, right? Yeah, they wound up hiring him, I believe, with DCSB, like a downtown community support partnership. And he's killing it. He's doing.
That's great. It's really fascinating how you help him. But I wonder, when some of these scenarios or cases are critical, right? You have to put yourself really into the process. How do you manage with that? I mean, when you saw him for the first time, got to know his story, and you saw all these stitches and everything, or scenarios like that, how do you deal with them?
I mean, I guess the answer is kind of boring because we do it the same as everybody else. Like, it's a little more daunting, right? Because you're coming in to see me with back pain, aside from how you're walking around and everything. Like, there's nothing visible necessarily to like just the naked eye, right? Outside of like, I might see a hunch over a little, or things like that. There's not anything crazy obvious, right? There's not like big skin grafting. There's not a hand that's not functional and we can't tell if you're going for like a handshake or a fist bump kind of, you know what I mean? Like, so with that particular incident, when you're seeing the skin grafting and everything, and like I hadn't seen a lot, I hadn't been exposed to a lot of that prior to that, then it can be a little bit like, oh geez, like what am I getting myself into here? Like he just said there's a hand thing. He didn't mention like all of this other stuff.
Do you second question yourself? I mean,
I do that all the time. As soon as someone comes in, I'm like, am I going to be able to solve this? And then you ask the right questions, you get through the assessment, then everything starts, the puzzle comes together, right? So then with him, it was just we figured out where the movement deficits were, where we could realistically help, what we couldn't, right? And then just being like honest with him. And he was just happy to have any kind of help, which also made him really cool to work with and kind of like sparked my passion for the more, I guess, social initiative aspect of what we do or what we're aiming to do, right? And just helping the people that really, really need it.
Wonderful stories. Do you have any other story for me? Maybe not that.
Yeah, I mean, there's another guy I'm trying to work a little bit more with. Same kind of situation. They gave him a job at the shelter after a while, but he struggled with addiction for a long time. And he had a circumstance where someone shot him with a shotgun. It took out the middle third of his radius bone, which is, I guess, the outer forearm bone here. So he avoided the hospital until he was on death's door, and then they got him on IVs and blood transfusions, and then put a rod in there, which didn't work out well for him. His body had a bad reaction to the rod, so they had to take the rod out. So he's just missing that chunk of bone, right? And when we look at the anatomy of it, you have sort of a few, like there's a muscle here, and then a couple muscles up here that let us turn our thumb down like that, right? And that's called pronation. And supination, right? So I'm just working on the other side, right? He doesn't have the leverage to be able to do that because the radius bone has to rotate over the ulna bone.
Okay, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
To give us this rotation.
Yeah.
Right? So when I asked him to turn his thumb down, it was this.
Oh.
Right? So it's the shoulder moving now, right? And that's an exaggerated version of what you might look at clinically with a lot of other movement compensations, right? Like people are using other joints because they miss a range of motion at a certain joint, right? Or they're borrowing the muscle contraction from somewhere that shouldn't be doing the right job, and then that's what's essentially causing their pain, right? So with him, like we have a pretty clear idea of what's causing it because you can visibly, again, see the skin grafting, you see everything else there. And then just knowing that he's missing a big chunk of a really important bone for arm function, right? So managing that, we haven't gotten super deep into the rehab, but I mean, with that too, it's muscle tissue that's lost there now. It's a lot of nerves that take nerves from his calf to reinnervate over here, right? So to make sure that we can stimulate the muscles to contract and also get the inputs back to the brain based on like sensory inputs, right? So like that versus this versus like hot, cold inputs, right? So it's a pretty intense story with that guy also, right? I mean, so again, and then just being realistic that like, okay, so until someone gets in there with some kind of insert to replace the bone that will react properly with your body, we can't get you doing this,
Makes sense. Yeah.
But we can work on your grip strength. We can work on other your wrist movement. We can work on shoulder movement and strengthening the other areas. And there's some issues with his hand just because of like the nerves being affected, right? That we had to work on. Get the coordination back into those spots. Yeah, so I think with those kinds of cases, you got to be realistic with what you can actually accomplish, and ultimately, you can like that doesn't mean that guy's just his hands got to be fully messed up and he can't do anything forever, right? Like we can still get him to a point where he can live a functional life. It's just going to look a little bit different than you or I, who have a fully developed radial bone, right?
But he can still use some of his muscles.
Exactly.
Yeah. 100%. This weird thought just came into my head. I see a lot of people, not a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of, but some people in downtown, they're highly addictive to some substance. Let's say that's white powder or anything like that. That's highly addictive, right? Mm-hmm. And now they're standing for a few hours, just bending down. You see them?
Oh yeah, the fentanyl fold. Yeah.
I wonder what happens with their back. But what kind of pains are they going through? I mean,
not a lot. Fentanyl is an opioid, right? So it's killing a lot of pain. Now, I might butcher this. I can't remember the specific mechanisms, but a lot of what happens is they lose motor control, but they don't lose balance, right? So with them, the muscles, like their spinal erectors, so the muscles in our back that let us kind of go like this, right? And keep our posture upright. Those muscles start shutting down, right? So then they fold over. So they're like mentally kind of there, but also mentally sort of unconscious. There's actually a really good TikTok video. One of my students who I'm hiring on right away, she sent it to me, and it's a guy going over what exactly happens in a fentanyl fold, which is really neat. I mean, it's kind of weird because he's got a guy folding behind him as he's talking about it, right? But it's a wild thing because it's like they're able to keep themselves upright, but a lot of these muscles just go on like shutdown. Yeah. But their legs can still keep them upright and keep them balanced, right?
Yeah, and they're still, keeping themselves straight, so kind of, and avoiding to fall.
Yeah.
And they keep themselves in like for hours. I mean, I just cannot believe how is it possible?
Yeah. And I mean, something like that's probably going to cause other pains, right? But I mean, as long as they're struggling with the addiction and they're taking like the opiates, they're unlikely probably to feel a lot of that pain until they come off, right? Because again, we're putting on that mask on the pain with the drug, right?
With the drugs, yeah. So they're not fully feeling those pains or the tight muscle sores or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, that's not even like tight. That's muscles letting go, right? So you can make an argument that likely those muscles are as loose, quote unquote, as they're gonna get, right? Like muscle stiffness, like the thing is with most people, if you put them under an anesthetic, you can probably touch their knee to their nose with their hamstring sensibility, right? But then when they come out of it, they might have trouble touching their toes, right? And their hamstrings are gonna feel like it's the tight limiter, right? So a lot of times that's just the nervous system saying like, hey, I don't trust you in those ranges of motion. That's not safe for me, so I'm not going to grant you access to that range of motion, right? Then if we find that that's a factor in your pain, we got to find out like why your brain decided that the proper strategy was to hang on to some stiffness in the hamstrings, right?
Well, that was wonderful to know about. Look at some of the things according to your perspective. Thank you for telling me all of this.
Oh, my pleasure.
Is there anything else you want to add? Anything about the training center, wellness center you run? So people know and they can reach you?
Yeah. Well, you can reach me directly. Instagram is probably where I spend the most time from a social media perspective. So that's Coach Manny AT, like AT for athletic therapy. Then Drive Wellness Center Winnipeg is our business page. So you can reach out through there as well. You can get a good idea of what we do. We have a link to the website, which is just drivewellness.ca through there. And if you ever wanted to book an appointment with us, that's all super accessible through the website online, or you can give us a call. The phone number should be up there. You can shoot us an email again, or you can just DM and we'll get you in however
possible way.
Yeah, whenever we can, right? Yeah,
for sure. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you so much for doing it.
My pleasure.
And thank you for explaining all the things, man. I'm really happy.
Of course.
I'd like to have you today.
Thanks so much.